I'm John Underhill, and this is the Red Special Guitar Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls who are listening to the Red Special Guitar Podcast, today I would like to introduce an artist to the podcast. Now, I'm not talking musical artist, I'm talking proper bona fide artist. And hopefully you'll have all figured out that the main artist we all think about when we think of Brian May and the Red Special is our very own member of the forum from earlier this year, Sarah Rugg. Welcome to the podcast, Sarah.
Oh, that was very nice of you. Thank you.
Well, I think it's fair. You're very well known to all of us. And
oh my goodness. You're making me all flustered now. Thank you.
Not at all. No, it's what an honour to have you on. When I reached out, I thought you're going to think, I don't know who this is or what this is about. And you said yes. So thank you.
I'd be mad not to say yes. I've been listening since episode 1. This podcast is awesome. So thank you for having me.
So you're the one person that listens to them all.
Oh my God.
No, thank you. So Sarah, how have you been? How's COVID affected you? Are you safe and well and all good?
Yeah, I've been good. It was last year we actually ended up moving in the middle of it all. So that was interesting. But once we've been here for about a year now, so we've been settled, and it's just given me a lot of time to make art, which is a good thing. But yeah, no, things have been good. I really can't complain.
Good. And did it affect you much? Obviously, I'm guessing you do a lot of your art at home.
No, it really
so
didn't affect me. I don't really have to go anywhere. I stay at my computer anyway, so it kind of worked out in my favor, really, to be stuck at home, because that's what I usually do.
That's not too bad then.
Yeah, I really can't complain.
No, that's good. So, yeah, well, good. Glad to hear it. You post very regularly on Instagram, so I've assumed that you've been well for the last year. Cause
yeah, I try to post regularly. Sometimes it's more than others, but I'm there.
Yeah, good. So can you think back? Usually I'd go through the chronology of someone. Tell me about you and Queen. Is it always been a Queen thing, or always been a Brian May thing? And can you remember your first song you listened to, or when you first heard them?
Me and Queen. Well, that goes back all the way to for as long as I can remember, beginning of my childhood. So I was born in 1993, which maybe some listeners might be like, oh my God, she's a baby. But Queen's catalog has already been established at that point. So my mom just raised me on all of their music. So it's always been a part of my life growing up. And she raised me on a lot of classic rock, but there was a specific note on Queen, a specific emphasis, I should say. So, I really remember growing up loving songs that were really catchy. So a lot of Freddie songs growing up, like Killer Queen and, Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy, fun songs like that. And then, as I got a bit older, it's always a presence in your life, like on the radio and stuff. You always hear it and sing along. But it kind of, after Bohemian Rhapsody came out, I think that really did spark a new wave in the Queen fandom, and I really got swept up in it then. That's when I would officially just be like, okay, this is a thing and not just a background noise anymore.
Yeah.
And then after Bohemian Rhapsody came out, I dove headfirst into the fandom, and then that slowly turned into, oh, maybe this isn't just a Queen thing. Maybe, hey, that guitarist over there, he's really cool. What's his name? And it kind of just went off the rails from there.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole to fall down for sure.
Oh my God, is it ever?
So it's actually quite a recent story for you then with Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, when did that came out? Was it 2000?
End of 2018. And I know this
Wow.
because I got married on Halloween of 2018, and that
Right.
weekend, Bohemian Rhapsody had like just come out. And I was like,
So
I should
massive.
see it.
Well, a couple of life-defining moments there,
Yeah,
possibly.
that was a big turning point for sure.
Yeah. No, amazing. So, I mean, yes. Have you been fortunate enough to see Queen live yet, or have you not managed to do that?
I
Or
have, yes. I saw them in Vancouver, the Rhapsody tour. Um, so that was what, July 10th, I think. Oh dear, I'm terrible with dates, but it was the first show of the Rhapsody tour in Vancouver, and
yeah,
I was like, hell or high water, I'm gonna go to this show no matter what. And I forked out the cash to get a really good seat because I knew it would be worth it. Um, and a Queen concert, some people are like, oh, it's not Queen with Adam Lambert, but I disagree. I'm one of those people. I think it's a phenomenal show. It's just to see Brian alone, I think is well worth it. It was incredible. Yeah, that was so I'm very lucky to have seen that, and I'm hoping to see them a few more times next year. We shall
yeah.
see. Fingers
No,
crossed.
I'm with you on that one. It's definitely it feels so much more like Queen than I was fortunate enough to see them with Paul Rogers, and I was
Mm,
in that space where I was thinking I'm just anything to see Brian and the Red Special live,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's
and
where I was. I was like, yeah, this is going to be a good show, and it is. But really, just to see Brian just up on stage doing his thing is like, oh my God, I'd do anything.
so were you drawing Brian at that point, or were you still thinking about
Um,
doing it, or
so this was around 2019. I mean, yes, I've always kind of been an artist who draws what I'm into. I draw my fandoms. So, I go through these phases of things with my art. And I suppose at that point with Queen, I knew I was in it. I was really starting to learn quite a bit, and I was starting to hone in on Brian at that point. But my production certainly wasn't where it's at now. But I was reaching this point where I was like, I'm really drawing quite a bit of this arguably niche subject. um, so it's like maybe I should consider another medium. Uh, because being a traditional artist and drawing a lot of fan art, you go through a lot of supplies pretty quickly.
yeah?
Um, so it was around that point where, yeah, I had done a few pieces, and I was pretty happy with them. And actually, at the show, this is so like hopeful of me, but my spot at the concert was like right up front of the extended stage, so like right dead center, very front where the stage juts out, best view of the entire show, hands down. And I had brought little like some prints with me and a letter for Brian, thinking like I could toss them on stage or something or pass them to someone for it to get to him. Alas, that did not happen. But I had enough art uh, that I hoped it would make it to him, but alas, it did not.
Have you still got that now in the envelope, or
Uh,
did you
no,
pass it
but
to
I did
someone?
take a photo of the letter I wrote, and I'm afraid to go back and read it. Oh
That
dear.
sounds like something you should do.
Oh gosh. I might die. It might end with, oh yeah, and you can check me out on Instagram.
Yeah. So at that point, were you on Instagram? Or, were you on
Uh,
Instagram at that point, or
yeah. Yeah, I've had an Instagram account for well, not as long as some people. I was a bit late to the game, all things considered, but um, yeah, for a few years at that point. Mainly just posting my other artwork. I used to do like comic book conventions and things like that.
yeah?
So like I would be buried in Artist's Alley, sort of, selling my artwork of fan art and things, whatever the popular Marvel movie is and stuff. Which I've always had fun at those conventions. But my Instagram was just kind of is very random, you know, like it wasn't very specific to any fandom. It was just a very like generic, you know, clearly this person does Artist's Alley. So yeah, it was a bit of a, you know, mix. So even if, God, I hope he didn't, but even if Brian saw my page, it wouldn't have made very much sense because there would have been a lot of random artwork on there.
Yeah. And I'm guessing that was just things you were, I mean, back, I say back then, it's probably not that long ago, but
Oh, it feels like a
um,
lifetime ago.
things that you were interested in at that point or were popular at that point,
Hmm.
drawing, and then were you taking photos of them on your phone or with a camera and then posting them up?
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. Yeah. And, selling prints and stuff and originals if I could. But yeah, that's exactly what it was, is just, photographing all of my traditional art that I was making. And that's all I did was traditional art. So yeah, it was an interesting feat. And I mean, if you scroll back far enough on my Instagram page, if you want to go all the way back to the beginning, if you want to scroll past the mountain of Brian, you can actually see some of my old pieces. I've, curated it a bit, just to keep it to the good stuff, but there's still some of my old stuff on there.
I might do that with the podcast episodes one day. Get rid of the rubbish ones. No, curate. No, not at all. No, I've been looking through your. No, and I was going to talk to you. I've been looking through your Instagram, and well, not. I wouldn't say there's any stuff that I wouldn't be very proud of. I mean, I can't draw for toffee, so um, anything you do is far beyond the skill of me. But there's nothing on there that I wouldn't be proud to share if I was you, your good self.
No, yeah, no, I'm happy a lot of my old stuff on there, that's for sure. I mean, it's on there for a reason. If I really didn't like it, I would have like archived all of it, but it's funny to me to actually scroll back to the beginning and see all of this, mishmash. I got like some Johnny Depp and I got Wonder Woman, Pennywise the Clown. Like, got some really
It's all good
random
stuff,
stuff on
though.
here. And
It's
then
all
all
good
of a
stuff.
sudden, the Queen hits.
Yeah. So I'm guessing, like, were you aware that that was happening, or was that a subconscious choice to start
Uh,
drawing Queen and Brian May?
no, I'm pretty aware of it. Again, it was the supply issue as an artist, you're very aware of, especially when you're vending at Artist Alley and things, you have to kind of have a business mindset about what you're making as an artist. And I kind of hate applying that, but if I'm using up a piece of my board, my illustration board to draw and paint something, I will hope that the prints and hopefully the original will sell. So I do want to kind of keep it topical or keep it related to someone's interests. So if I'm doing something niche or if I'm doing something repetitive, I'm hoping there's going to be some interest in that, because otherwise it kind of ends up as a dead piece at a convention, which I
Yeah.
might be really proud of, and I do have a few pieces like that, which are made for me. But at a convention, you really do have to have like, okay, but is this actually going to pique anyone's interest and like bring them into my table? Because yeah, otherwise you get lots of people walking by and they just don't get it. And so once I'm very aware, I was like, I'm really drawing Brian a lot. Like, this is very niche, even for me. Like, I know there are Queen fans out there, but like, it's getting a bit silly. Um, I was kind of at that point. I've been doing conventions for a few years, and I was, kind of falling out of love with it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna draw for me. I'm just gonna draw what I like. And what I like right now is Brian. So I'm just gonna draw a lot of Brian. It, it hasn't stopped.
No, well, it's certainly worked for you. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, like he's yeah, I'm still drawing a lot of Brian.
So, did you were drawing for the conventions? Did you stop doing those conventions and move to Brian, or did you take some of the Brian artwork to those and get
There was a
feedback? Or
little there was a little bit of an overlap where I had some Queen pieces at conventions and stuff, and they did okay. Better than I thought. I was pleasantly surprised, but not not enough to justify how much I do now. Unless there's, if I set up a table at, a Queen convention or something. Um,
well, you probably do a bit better there, but yeah,
yeah, exactly. I might find my audience there. But no, there was a bit of overlap, but yeah, no, well, and then COVID hit, right? So then
yeah,
bye to all conventions. And then, we ended up moving that summer. So we moved away from the area I was doing conventions anyway. So I really haven't had the opportunity to go back or even think about doing another convention.
Yeah. I guess timing has forced you down an alleyway or
Yeah,
a
it
path,
really, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
but possibly not necessarily a bad thing either.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
um, so yeah, I mean, you got to take these opportunities that you get and chances, and if every cloud has a silver lining, and you got to take those opportunities when they come. So if
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
almost like you'd pre-thought through a massive pandemic,
Yeah,
and we're
that's
gearing
it.
up to
Yeah, yeah,
work
yeah.
solely
I
from home
decided
and
to
not need to go
focus.
to conventions.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Uh-huh. That was my plan all along.
It's interesting because one of one of the fans of the podcast, who I know, Susan Ermish Gunther, she messaged me to say that you drew something or she bought something for her daughter off you.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. What a
so I was
small
just
world.
curious as to how, whether she picked that up at a convention or whether you'd started selling things online or.
Well, I do have a website online, sarahrugartwork.com, just a little plug. And I sell my prints and stuff on there. Um, but oh my goodness, that's so sweet to hear people with my art. I'm really
Yeah,
awful with names, you know, so I wish I could be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what she bought. But oh, that's so sweet. My God.
I've got a little group of patrons that help out the podcast to make sure that it continues to grow and hosting fees and whatnot. And
Hmm.
so as part of that, you get to know, as a little perk, who I'm speaking to next. So I just mentioned yesterday, oh, I'm chatting to you tonight, and she said, "Oh my god, my daughter's got a print of hers."
Oh my God, that's so amazing. Oh,
So
I
yeah,
have a
she
huge
says
smile
hi.
on my face right now. That's so sweet.
Well, it's the reach of your artwork. It's very good, very very good.
Oh, well, thank you.
So, I mean, talk to me a little bit more, Sarah, about Brian, and why did you had the whole band in front of you. Queen obviously is a something that you've been brought up with, and you mentioned a few songs there that are the catchy ones.
Yeah,
Why not Freddie? Why not Roger? Why not John? Why did you gravitate towards Brian?
you're opening a can of worms here now, John.
Well,
Uh,
that's what the podcast is for.
this is where I'm going to talk your ear off for the next hour and a half. Um,
That's fine.
you know, I'm trying to think of where to start here. So like my whole life, I've described myself as a fangirl. I'll latch on to these sort of fixations or obsessions or things for me to just like really delve into and just, live in a community, right? So, I've always gone from sort of fandom to fandom. Um, and jumping into Queen, I knew it was going to be like this huge world, like, and still growing and still living and thriving. Um, so it was almost intimidating for me to jump in. And once I was in it and once I felt kind of comfortable and I sort of knew my way around, as in like, I knew the albums and was familiar with all of the songs and not just the radio hits and, you know, knew sort of their concerts and stuff like that. Um, it was actually a very conscious decision where I was just like, actually, this really is more than just Queen because I kept finding myself honing in on Brian. And with the four members, you'll find in the Queen fandom, there's always people will have their favorites for whatever reason. And so for a while, I messed around with the idea. Okay, I was like, okay, well, what if Freddie's my favorite? And I live in that space for a bit. What if John? And what if Roger? But I was like, actually, no, it's really just Brian. And I was like, this is very like fangirl mentality, but I was like, yeah, he's very my type. Like I really shouldn't deny it. But it it was so quickly more than just like, oh, he's really cute. Like, that's very surface level. I was like, this man has he's lived like five different lives in his lifetime, like world famous guitarist, astrophysicist, like savior of badgers and animals, and stereoscopic like enthusiast and archivist and just all of these things. I was like, wow,
He's
there's
pretty
so
cool, isn't
much
he?
to delve in here.
He's a pretty cool dude, really.
Pretty cool. Yeah, that's a little bit of an understatement, but it became a conscious decision when I was actually flying down to the UK to visit a friend of mine in Scotland. Shout out Cami. She's another Queen artist. Um, I was flying out to visit her, but I was also going to get a tattoo from one of my favorite artists out there. And it was originally going to be Freddie because I was like, well, if you're getting a Queen tattoo, obviously it has to be Freddie, right? I was like, actually, no, it's gonna be Brian. And I was talking to my mom. She's like, really, Brian? And I was like, yeah, this is a Brian thing, I'm afraid. It's gonna be Brian. And that was kind of it. Once I just admitted to myself that that was it, well, here we are.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And is there anything specific? Like, I mean, clearly I like Brian too, and he's my favourite because of the guitar. So it's a bit of a silly question, really. But
Well, hmm. It's so hard to say because I think it's really it's a combination of everything that equals, why I like him so much or why I've found myself so just forever fascinated by him. I really can't pin down one thing. Um, I think though, not only is there just kind of so much to dive into, really like if you have any interest, you'll find something in Brian that you'll enjoy, because his life is just so vast. But for me, I really think it's just how like honest and open and vulnerable he is. Like he really puts himself out there and makes himself so available to people. And he's just so honest that it's kind of hard not to just be like, wow, like I can't believe this is this is your life. You've written songs like this. You're just so there and present, and there's just such a gravity to him. You kind of, I don't know, you just kind of end up getting like drawn into his world in one way or another. Um,
yeah,
and then, as my hyperfixations go, and then I was like, oh, but this guitar, the Red Special, like, what is this? This is so cool.
so how did you find out? I mean, it's a silly question again, but how did you find out about the Red Special? Was it something you knew from early on, or was that a bit more once you started to fixate on Brian? You like, what's the guitar he's playing then?
For the sake of the listeners in the podcast, I'd love to say I knew about it before. I'd be like, oh, yes, absolutely. I had plenty of guitar knowledge before. I didn't. I feel like a fake fan, but
No. We'll come on to that because you're not at all. And the podcast is for people who like the guitar and
yeah, no, it really
at whatever
was.
level, whatever level you're at. So yeah, don't go there. Just
Yeah, no, it really was with Brian, and yeah, like once you dive into the history of Brian, the history of the Red Special will inevitably come up. You'd have to go out of your way to avoid listening to any interview with Brian and not knowing how he made this guitar with his dad when he was 16 using all of these things from his house, like you really have to go out of your way to not know that. He brings it up every interview, I swear to God. um, but
quite a few, yeah.
If you told me like 5-10 years ago that I would know anything about guitars or electric guitars, I'd have thought you were insane. Not because like I'm not interested in music or anything like that, but just because it felt so beyond my realm of interests almost in any way. I was like, there's no way I would ever learn about, luthiers and, what goes into making a guitar or finding the right tone of a guitar or any of that, the rig rundown and setup. And I wouldn't know any of that without Brian. And I still really don't know much, but I know a lot about the Red Special because I'm just so fixated on it. It's so fascinating to me.
It's the best guitar to know about.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely,
It's,
yeah. And
it's
I feel bad for my friends. I think I'm like the only person who's so like interested in Brian and this guitar. As soon as I launch into anything about, his musicianship or just like, oh, the tone in this song, or like, oh my God, the way he played this solo, they just kind of go blank.
yeah.
They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, no, but you don't get it. Like during this one live show in like 77, he played this solo like this, and it was so good. And they're just like, uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a common problem for most of us,
Hmm.
where our better halves and friends know us as the one that likes Queen, and that's about it, really. We
Yeah,
just get
exactly.
frustrated, just get frustrated
Exactly. Yeah.
listening to stories and tales. So, yeah, and you popped up on the forum. I want to say earlier this year, but time
Yeah.
flies so fast. I don't think it was in 2021, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a little bit late. I feel bad. I don't usually lurk around on Facebook and stuff, so had I known, I definitely would have joined earlier because even my friends were a part of the group. And I was like, you guys, you're in this Facebook group and you didn't tell me? I got really upset at them. They're like, yeah, we thought you knew. I was like, oh my God, look at all of these people building their guitars and talking about the Red Special. And they're like, uh-huh.
Yeah, there's one or two of us.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a good place to come if you need to get a fix of what's being built, or some debate on pickup heights, or some of the nuances,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
differences.
No, I was like,
You
oh
can,
my God, these are my people. And even though I don't I can't really engage in conversation. I think because, I put up a barrier for myself, I don't want to sound like a dumbass saying something, you know, totally wrong. So I'm always there like reading these posts and like the comments and stuff and just like being surrounded by these people and in the community. I think it's just it's so cozy. It's so nice there.
it's pretty. It's one of the most. I mean, we have our odd flare up every now and again, but
Hmm.
for all the different sorts of forums that are out there that talk
Yeah.
about lots of different things, it's probably one of the most amicable. I mean, there's nearly 5,000 people in it now, and it's one of the
Oh
most
my God.
amicable forums that there is that I've ever been a part of, and
Yeah.
it certainly feels like home. And there's so much richness in knowledge of
Exactly. Yeah,
how to do
exactly.
things, and you know, I'm just thinking, if you were new to it like you were
Hmm.
when you joined, you've got like people like Luke Holwerder who've got that whole video series of how he built his Red Special in Phoenix in Arizona, which is so worth watching. It's
Oh my
about
God.
45 minutes if you watch it all through. And then you've got people like Mark Reynolds, who actually built his guitar and worked with Greg Fryer help when he was restoring the guitar originally in 1998. He's on the forum. And then you've got Nigel Knight, who builds Brian's electronics, is on the forum, and he
Oh,
pipes up with answers, and
exactly. Exactly.
you
I
just
got a
so
huge smile on my face right now. Like that's exactly the stuff that I love sort of,
and
living in communities like that. There's so much knowledge to be shared, and I love hanging around people who just know stuff like that. People who are
yeah,
knowledgeable and, just have these cool stories or experiences or, you see their growth either via playing or building their guitar like in real time and you're like, oh my God, this is so cool. It's such
yeah.
a like thriving community. No, I love it.
No, it's great, and you joining was one of the highlights for me this year.
Ah,
And
oh my God.
there's been a few. One is Merlin, who was in an earlier podcast, watching his
Hmm.
playing come on, because he is just amazing now from
Yeah,
where
I
he
wish I
was.
could learn that quickly. My God.
Just smokes most players now. And then you joining was one of those moments. I was like, Sarah's come. Yes, this
Oh
is
my
awesome. What a
God.
great person to have in the forum. And then the other one is Ariel joining this year,
Oh,
I think
Ariel.
is
Oh, I love her so much. Oh my God.
just like, you know, people, I don't know, where else do you get access to these people, whether they're in your community talking and actively talking and sharing? It's just
Hmm.
fantastic.
No, yeah,
Such
Ariel,
a,
she's
and
such a techie too, right? So she fits right in.
yeah, she's God, she knows her stuff, that's for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, she
It's
does.
a hot, yeah, a lot more than most of us as well. When you really get talking to her, but yeah, no, it's awesome. Thank you for joining, because it's yeah, it's great. And I think you picked a guitar up yourself now, haven't you? And you've started to learn.
I have. Yeah. It's been about a year since I've had my guitar. See, I'm left-handed. So, I want to have a BMG aerial and I want to have, a BMG Rhapsody. But, I have my left-handed BMG Red Special and uh, I play almost every day by myself. So, no doubt I'm teaching myself awful habits and I don't think that my progress is very good. I think I need a lot more structure, so I'd love to have like, a proper teacher or, just lesson format for me to follow. Because right now I'm just like working through chord shapes and just strumming along to a bunch of different songs, um, which is better than I could do, a year ago. A year ago,
Yeah.
I hardly knew how to hold the thing. So, I have improved, but it's slow because I feel like I need a bit of structure, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. I mean, you're not old at all, so I don't want to insult you, but yeah, I'm trying to find the right words. What I was going to say is it must be like your artwork is clearly you know exactly what you're doing, and you especially in the stuff you've been doing in the last 12 months, 12 to 18 months, where you know
Yeah.
everything you look at of yours is spot on. And I'm not
Oh,
saying the
thank you.
stuff wasn't, but you can clearly see your
No,
development in
yeah,
your own skill.
I know what you're getting at. Yeah, for sure. And I know what you're saying here. So I'm trained as a teacher. I graduated university with Bachelor of Education, and so I know as a teacher, I'm very understanding of just the process of learning. And it sucks to be bad at something and know that you're bad at something, right? Like it sucks to start at the beginning when you have excelled in something else. So to have been doing art for as long as I have been, which is like what, 14, 15 years, like actually like focusing on it. And then to pick up a guitar and like, fumble through a chord and like unintentionally muting strings. I'm like, oh God, I'll never play like Brian May. I'll never play like Brian May. But like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It sucks to be bad at something. It sucks to start from the beginning. But I also know that it's a skill that takes time to develop. So every small victory builds onto the next and builds onto the next. So, every chord that I memorize, I'm like, okay, I got it. Next one, and it just builds up from there.
definitely.
So it's a process, it's a journey. It can be frustrating, but I think it's very humbling, to just try something new. I've played some instruments before. I was in band in grade 6 through 8. I played the baritone trombone, or not baritone trombone, sorry, baritone tuba. um, and I'm not musically inclined, but a guitar is very tricky. So it's humbling.
And since you picked it up, Sarah, have you a new appreciation for Brian's own skill
Oh
now
my
knowing
God,
what he's
yes. Holy crap, yeah. I think it was one of my friends who she's also picked up a few guitars, just when you're in the Brian May world, it's hard not to pick up a guitar at some point. And I think she had remarked like, how is he so good at this and everything else? Like, how is anyone this good at guitar playing? Like, it's so impossible starting out to even fathom what Brian does. And I'm just like, how the hell does he move his fingers that quickly and get the notes he's trying to get without like fumbling or muting? And I mean, Brian messes up, but he just plays. And I can't wait to get to that point where, you're so familiar with something you can just improvise it and you're good. Even if you mess up, you can play your way out of it. That's, he's truly the master of his craft.
he certainly is. And it's I mean, talking about him again and reminding myself, as not that I need reminding, but talking to you about it, and you go back through your own thoughts and processes. But like, not only is he amazing at guitar and has done all the things that you've said, but at the age of 16, him and his dad built the guitar that he would go on to
Mm-hmm.
use for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
Craft a tone and a sound and a style that has never been matched.
Yeah,
been
exactly.
pretty humble and inspired all of us in all of our different ways to take
Hmm.
up either take up
Yeah,
guitar, draw some art,
exactly.
make a podcast, and the community that is now around just the guitar
Yeah.
is is massive and has never been bigger and has never been richer. And yeah, I wonder if he's as aware as I hope he is of all of that side of it as well. I wonder if he ever stops to think about it.
Well, I think, yeah, it's truly remarkable. And I think someone on the forum, I could be making this up, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to attribute it to the forum in general, but I think someone had said, like, can you imagine if Brian had built like a different guitar? This entire forum would be dedicated to a very different looking guitar. Or like, the spade that he had designed, right?
Yeah,
Imagine if that was the first guitar and the only guitar, you
yeah,
know, like imagine if that was it. But it just so happened to be the Red Special, you know, like
yeah,
had they changed one thing or, you know, the whole community or, everything would look so different or sound different.
definitely. It would do. I mean, I often wonder if we'd have ever, Brian's skill obviously comes through. I think the guitar does force you to play, especially if you play one with an original style thick
Mm,
neck. The BMG is slightly thinner, but if you
yeah.
play one with the thick neck, it does force you down a path of how to play, and I think that comes across in his playing a little bit. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Well,
I do wonder if whatever he'd picked up, we'd still be going, "Oh, Brian May's a guitar hero," and all these wonderful things. But
yeah. Well, Brian has always said like, yeah, the guitar has something to do with it, but it's all in the hands, it's all in the fingers,
yeah,
He could pick up any guitar, he'll sound like Brian, and any other
yep,
person will pick up the Red Special and they'll sound like, how they sound like. So, I
definitely.
think, yeah, the guitar only goes so far. Obviously, I'm very grateful it's the Red Special, but I'm curious. I wonder if it had been anything else, would it have been as iconic? I know Brian would have
Yeah,
been, but would the guitar have been, you know,
so-
as notorious?
yeah, quite possibly not. It's one of those. You can debate. That's one of those late night Red Special
Yeah.
forum meetup at the bar, having a chat with your mates, debating the intricacies of whether or not he would still be as famous or the guitar would be if he designed something else or picked up a Strat. But
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll also to remark on, it is the guitar does kind of dictate playing. I'm very grateful that the BMGs have slimmer necks because
yeah,
my hand would not be able to fit around anything else like the baseball bat that he has.
yeah.
I'm very grateful they've considered players like me.
No, it's a great guitar for. Well, you know, he came from the Red Special itself came
Yep.
from not being able to afford one, and he's there providing affordable guitars of really high quality to
Hmm.
those. I hats off to him again. He doesn't have to do that. Yeah, he's going to make some money off them, but he could have just released a load of supers at 2.5 grand each and
Exactly.
made money
Yeah.
that way. He's got an affordable version to allow people to start their journey with guitar.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
again, hats off to the man.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and you'll catch me on the BMG website just like drooling over that special and the waitlist, or anyone who makes proper replicas of the Red Special. You'll catch me just like, oh my God, I wish I could just take out a mortgage to afford one of these. And of course, like I said, I have to be left-handed. So what was it? I
Yeah,
think it was Andy who put up a left-handed Red
it was left on the
Special.
Guyton recently.
Oh
Yep,
God, I just cry. I wish I could afford that. Oh, please.
it's a beautiful instrument as well. I was lucky when I um was up with Andy. He had it in the shop with him or in the workshop, so
Oh my
it's
God.
nice to see it. It's odd seeing it the wrong way round,
I know,
but
yeah, I'm such a purist, because I draw Brian in the Red Special. So I look at my own guitar and I'm just like, this isn't right.
still look
But
at
it's
yourself in the mirror
mine.
and then. So, I mean, can you remember when you learnt Brian made his guitar? Was that like a wow, this guy is even more impressive, or was it not such a big thing for you?
It really did, like you had mentioned earlier, it was really like a rabbit hole. Like as soon as it's like, oh my God, this guitar, I want to know more about it. If you, Wanting to know more about that guitar leads you down a whole nother world. Um,
Yeah.
and it's, like the Red Special book, you know, when the updated version came out, I was
Yeah.
dying to get my hands on it because I didn't have the original one.
Right.
So, oh my God, when I got that, I just devoured it front to back in one sitting. I was like, oh my God, all of this
No, it's a great.
information, which I want to say, I knew quite a bit of it, but even still, these little tidbits I hadn't known, or just seeing photos of, different versions and prototypes, and just, oh my God, that book is like my Bible.
It's a pretty good book. Simon did a great job working
He
with Brian on
really
it, and
did.
it's
Hats off to Simon. Oh my
he.
God, I love it.
Yeah, no, it's he in the I think the editions which are in the second edition of the Bohemian Rhapsody story, and
Hmm.
some of the work Andy did to the Red Special back in 2016, I want to say, but it might have been
Yeah.
17 now. It's such, it's what a great thing to add to the book. And
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
for you, having seen Bohemian Rhapsody, the book would have come out with the second edition would have come out, so
Yeah,
sensible
it
one to
was
pick
kind
up.
of around the same time. Yeah, and I was already like well into just, yeah, I'm a Brian May fan, so I was gonna get that book anyway, but I was especially excited for it because I was like, oh, this is everything I need and wanted to know, and oh, yeah, I love it. And honestly,
Yeah,
the collector in me, I just want the first edition just to have. Like, that's how much I love this book.
yeah. Well, I'm sure someone listening might have one kicking around. They might be able to
Please let me
ping you a
know.
message. Yeah, sure somebody out there does. So just quickly, not just quickly, but what are you playing at home at the moment? You've got your left-handed BMG. Tell us, because the listeners will want to know what rig you're playing through.
Uh, you're funny. Honestly, you
They
know what?
will. People are interested in these things. I'm
Uh,
interested. I wouldn't ask if I wasn't.
I picked up this little Vox Pathfinder amp the other month.
Yep,
So
good
I just
choice.
have that. It's really nothing special. Honestly, I'm still fumbling my way through it. So a lot of the times when I'm practicing, I'm actually practicing without it plugged in, which I'm
Um,
ashamed to admit. But like that's how beginner I am. I don't want to hear all of my mistakes amplified just yet. But I'll occasionally plug it in. I'll be like, oh yeah, this sounds all right. That's how an electric guitar is supposed to sound.
Because are
um,
you playing with a sixpence, or are you?
no, unfortunately, I wish. I'm just playing with my fingers, which I know I shouldn't be doing. I shouldn't be teaching myself that. I really should be teaching myself with a pick or sixpence. See, I'm terrible. I'm teaching myself all these bad habits.
We'll have to have a chat outside the
I know,
podcast,
I'm
Sarah. I'll
sorry. This is
set you
why
up.
I was afraid you were gonna ask me this. Now you've outed me.
We set you up. I'll send you some stuff, and then we'll get you some sixpences and
Yeah, I
see what
actually
else I
do,
got kicking
yeah.
around. Definitely. No, we will do that. We'll do that. But so yeah, so you're not at that point where you're comfortable playing turned up yet, which I
No.
understand. We
Yeah,
were all
I'm still,
learning at one point.
yeah, like, and I am reaching the point, unplugged or not, where I'm like getting comfortable strumming along to like, 39, or, I Want It All, or like, the White Queen riff, and, like playing along with the chords of that and stuff. So, I'm getting somewhere, but
Definitely sounds like
it's
it.
I need, I need some structure, and I need to know like what I'm actually doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and I don't know. It's something.
Well, there's some really helpful people in the forum that I'm sure if you posted up, or
Yeah,
if
I
anyone
might
listens to this
build
and
up the
wants to,
nerve.
well, I'm sure some of the people we've mentioned, and how I'm gonna Danny Gomez, for example, we
Mhm.
will rock you, Spain. Danny Gomez, he's such a lovely chap,
Oh
and
yeah.
his I always complain about my playing, um, and he's always offering to have a video call with me and give me some tips and tricks. And
Right.
then there's Thomas Bruncard from Ireland as well. He's always there to give advice. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to reach out to these guys, because
Yeah, you might. No, I'm not gonna commit to anything. You might see me try and upload something. Oh. Yeah, it
good.
might take an army to help me out though.
But yeah, but that's what we're there for.
Ah.
We love seeing people do well, and progressing, and passing our knowledge on that we've gained for all these years of not being able to talk to anyone about it.
Yeah, true, true. Ah,
So yeah, we'll set you up. But I was going to go back to your drawings because obviously that's a massive part of you and how I found you. And you know, I can't remember how I found you, but I remember instantly going, I need to like this page because there's some fantastic things coming up. And one, they're so fantastically drawn, and two, where do you get the inspiration from to do what you do? Because you're not just doing like a copy of Brian in a photo. You're coming up with your own compositions of things and taking elements of various different parts of Brian's personality and making some fantastic things.
well, thank
Where does
you.
that come from?
Um, well, so as a traditional artist, the thing that helped me stand out quite a bit, and what I've always been drawn to is working white on black. So, most artists will start with a white surface, it's just this intimidating white void of nothing. And you have to commit with like a black mark or something on it. But working on, a black surface or a black canvas, it's like this, there's just so much potential there. And once you add white onto it, it's like you're shaping something out of it. You're like rendering space in, you know, it's just much calmer and much more friendly to me. So working on black has always kind of helped me stand out a bit because everyone's like, "Oh, you work negative. That's interesting." I'm like, "Well, kind of, but it doesn't feel like that to me. It feels much more natural." Um, so I think that alone will always catch people first. Is just
Yeah,
how I it's just how I draw. Um, but with that applied to Brian, I don't know, something just happened and is still happening. I'm still exploring some different concepts, but to fill out the background and to build things up with light and stars and to really just envelop my subject, and in this case, Brian, in just this atmosphere of, just, oh, wow. Like that's kind of what I'm after. It's just this, oh, wow, that's just beautiful. So I
well,
hope
you're
with
definitely
every
doing it.
piece that's what I try to aim for. And I'm always experimenting with different, colors and stuff. I will always want to lean black and white, but I force myself to do color because, I need to get better with it. So I'm always trying. Um, but yeah, that's I don't know, something just worked out. It just happened.
Yeah, yeah. Looking at your work at the minute on my screen,
Oh.
I wouldn't even know where to begin personally to create something like that.
I
It's
mean,
such a talent.
oh, thank you. Here's the thing, it also helps to, work from a subject like Brian, who's so diverse in the way he's been photographed. There's a different energy with him on stage versus him just being photographed candidly, or, that any sort of mood that I find myself in or that I want to evoke, there's gonna be, a reference for me to pull from and to just shape out from there. Right. So, like you said, it's way more than just drawing a photo of Brian. I feel like most anyone can do that. But for me, it's really about evoking an emotion or a feeling or something. I want to say something with my art. And it just happens to be through the lens of Brian. But that's my goal as an artist. And I'm still trying. I'm still exploring things. I'm still, you know, it's a lifelong journey.
Yeah, well, it's a fantastic one to have witnessed and watched, and
Oh,
you know,
thank you.
it's yeah, no, it's sometimes hard to find the words when I'm trying to be
Oh,
genuine and not chuckle too much. But no, it's just such great artwork, and
thank
if
you.
anyone that's listening hasn't checked Sarah out, then I would suggest first going onto Instagram and looking up Sarah Rugg because it's yeah,
Oh, thank
and
you.
then come back and have a conversation because you're not going to be disappointed.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm always trying to build up my portfolio. And you mentioned earlier, even in the past year or so, you really can see like an improvement. And yeah, that's just it. I went from being a exclusively traditional artist for God, like many, many years. And then it really only has been in the past like 2 years in November. I've been working digital, so it's under two
Yeah.
years. And so everything you see now is all digital. And a lot of it is me still exploring the medium of digital art. And so, from the beginning of me starting digital up till now, you can tell how when I start to get comfortable and when I start to explore different things. And yeah, it's fascinating even for me to look back, just be like, oh my God.
It's always it's something it's boring, but something I talk about at work quite a lot. And wherever I've worked, I always building something or making something or turning a team from one thing to another. And one of the things I always do is make sure that we put a marker down as to where we were, so that in 6 months, when we've achieved a load of stuff and something bad's happening, or it feels like we're really stressed or there's loads going on, we can turn around and have a look back at where we've come from and go, wow, actually we're not in a bad shape, we're just having a bad week, and we have achieved
Exactly.
so much. It's
Exactly.
so important to document where you've come from. Same with playing guitar. Like, you
Hmm.
need to put that video out, so in another 12 months you can put another one out and go, oh, look how far I've come.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's very humbling, and I find a lot of artists, I think, creatives in general, and be it, musicians, artists, what have you, we really do get in our heads about just comparing ourselves to others and just be like, oh, I'll never be that good. I'll never play as good as so and so. I'll never draw as good as so and so. And that's kind of natural, but it can end up being more bad than good because it really is about your growth and how far you've come. And it's so important to be humble about, where you've started and to look back from time to time and just like take pride in the improvements that you have made, And so as an artist, if I see someone just really like, oh my God, I can't draw this right now, or I'm so frustrated, or oh my God, I'm not improving as quickly as I would like, you're gonna strain a muscle if you force yourself to improve. Like, it takes time. Like, you don't want to burn out. You gotta be patient
Definitely.
with yourself and let skills develop naturally. And so it really is like just breathe, just let things happen and then look back, and you will see improvement over time. And that's why, like, I'll, make fun of myself with how bad I am at guitar still, because I know I have a long way to go, but I am not blind to how last year I struggled to put on the guitar strap, and like, I've come a ways.
Good. No, it's so important to remember, and yeah, it's a mental health and
Yeah,
all
that's
of
huge.
those challenges that can come around with wanting to create something, and the pressure we all put
Yeah.
on ourselves, which is always where pressure comes from,
Yeah.
is so difficult to deal with. So just like you said, give yourself a break
Yeah.
and
That's so
remember where you've
huge.
come from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think we'd come on to that today, Sarah, and that's not usually a
I
Red
get
Special
very
podcast
deep
topic, but
and philosophical when I
yeah.
talk about art and stuff. You've got me into my teacher brain now.
No, it's good. Uh, there's so many things around, like, not comparing yourself to others and being kind to
Hmm.
yourself. And there's such fundamental things that you can do and practice in your own life towards yourself. That
Yeah.
then, if you're looking after yourself in that way, you find that when you're doing other things with other people, that you're so much happier or in a better place to be able to serve them and help them. And when you're doing something, you're in a better place and you get a better result.
Yeah, exactly,
It's
exactly. Yeah. So just,
yeah,
stay humble, stick with it, and just, yeah, let things happen, and you'll see improvement. And, even for me, where I'm at, I'm always, I'm very humble about where I'm at now, and I'm still trying to improve. I never let myself get too comfortable with things, like, I don't want to be stuck in a rut or delude myself into thinking, no, this is as good as I'll ever be. No, I don't believe in that, really. I always believe in, like, I always want to try and push myself, even if it's just a little bit, and even if other people might not notice. I want to challenge myself a little bit and just take these steps out of my comfort zone and see where that will take me. Because if I hadn't, say, started working on black way back in high school, who knows what I'd be doing, right? Would I still have
yeah.
found it? Or, if I let that intimidate me, or if I thought I was as good as I would be in high school, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Definitely.
So
And I
yeah,
was just going to
it's
say,
yeah.
if you hadn't gone from making Comic Con pictures to doing Brian May, you also, you had to just do it and see where it took
Exactly.
you.
Yeah. Sometimes, it doesn't make much sense. Sometimes it sounds a little backwards. So, yeah, I went from this really vast, comic book conventions to Brian May. Doesn't sound like a leap forward, but for me it was.
It definitely was. I was going to ask you, Sarah, about your Instagram because I started following you, and then I go through this thing of every now and again I turn Instagram off because I find I spend too much time on it, and then I'm not practicing guitar or thinking about the podcast, doing all the other things I've got to do, like go to work or look after my children and all that. So every now and again I turn it off, and then I'll come back to it. And I didn't really cotton on to the fact that not only were you posting up all your own personal artwork of Brian, but you were sharing artwork from other people that you must follow that draw Brian. And I just thought, what a fantastic thing to do, to not only promote yourself and try and like spread your message, but also to spread other people's works that you enjoyed. And not many people would do that.
Yeah. Um, that's just God, I'm so happy that you noticed. And I think a lot of people have picked up on that's just what I do, but that's always been me. And you could say that's the teacher in me, but I've always loved just celebrating communities. And so even before I was, as you'd say, like known in the community, which is hard for me to say out loud, but even before people knew who I was sharing artists and just sharing artwork that I loved. And God, I just love just putting up art because I can't believe how just talented and creative and productive this community is. It blows me away like every day to just see how much is made. And I'll I'll take like maybe a few days off a year of sharing art. But almost every day I'm in there and I'm sharing, and it's just God, it's my favorite thing in the world to at the end of the day just like look at what everyone has made and put it up there and feature it, because it's just God, it's so cool. And I have so much artwork from this community in my house. It's I want to say a problem, but it's a good problem. um, I just God, I love every creator in this community so so much. But yeah, just God, it's my favorite thing.
No, it's a lovely thing to do, and made it's one of those things where I I was aware of what you were doing, and I liked what you were doing, and I liked your artwork, but I really then liked you because of that fact. It made me just think, oh, this is someone that gets life and gets things and is on the same page as me. Not
Aw.
that I go around sharing stuff, but like if I met you, I would like you, sort of thing, because you're
Aw.
doing the right thing.
Well, and I think also it factors into, I really don't lead much of an interesting life. Like I kind of have a hard time talking about myself and stuff. So, I don't share a lot of personal things on my Instagram. Occasionally I'll put up a Q&A, just to talk to people because it can be fun, but there's really not much to me. Kind of what you see is what you get. So I would rather, focus the lens on other people and introduce people who follow me to new artists who, they might love and enjoy. Um, because, I have a hard time talking about myself, you know, as opposed to what the timestamp on this podcast might say as I'm talking your ear off. But, I don't really like talking about myself that much. I should say that.
No, I think I am hoping that this is not feeling too difficult for you then, because
No, it's
it's
nice. Maybe I should actually talk about myself a
I think
little bit more often.
I think you should. There's a thing about being too humble and not celebrating yourself as well,
Yeah.
and go too far the other way, and not think of yourself as being good, and not think of yourself in a Brian. I think is it's a quote from, I don't think it's a quote, but I remember watching either a documentary or a short on the Bohemian Rhapsody film, and Brian and Roger were sat watching the band perform the Live Aid set, I
Hmm.
think Brian went to talk to Gwilym and said, "You have to go and imagine, like, when we were doing this, we thought we were it. You need a certain cockiness around you to
Yeah.
perform, and that's definitely something that Brian's also very good at. He's very humble, but he's also very, when he knows he's right, he and
Yeah, he's
knows his
very good at
stuff,
switching it on and just yeah, I'm Brian May.
and that's something that I know I need to learn, and it sounds like it's something you do too, because
Yeah,
you're
that's
very
a very
good.
good point. You're right. I think we all need that little like rock star switch.
Yeah. Well, it's just striving to be better, I think, and making sure that you've not been hard on yourself. You're being humble, but you're also aware of the difference that you are making and how good you are, so that you don't undersell yourself.
Yeah. Well, I think as an artist, I'm chronically underselling myself. It's that's a problem I've always had. But yeah, I do kind of, and I'm starting to take a bit of pride. I say a bit, but I'm starting to learn that, like, yeah, okay, I can be proud of how far I've come.
Definitely.
I'm just so aware of everyone else, and I want everyone else to feel so loved that it can be hard to kind of admit, like, yeah, this is where I'm at, and I'm really happy
Yeah.
with where I'm at right now. I'm so hyper
Well,
aware of
you're in.
everyone else. It's I'm very conflicted.
Well, you're in. One of the things I asked you, because obviously I prepare a little bit for the podcast just so I know what we're going to talk about and make sure that my guests are well versed in the sorts of things we're likely to talk about. One of the questions I asked you was if you had a favourite piece of artwork, and you told me no, you don't. You have 5.
Approximately at the moment. That was just at the time. I just pulled the first 5. I was like, yeah, I was really happy with this. So this is a benchmark. Yeah. It's around
So,
5, but yeah, I can't just pick one.
well, that's good, because that's, you're very, at least there's 5 decent things that you've done that you're proud of. But I'm
5
going
out
to
of the
link those.
hundreds. Yeah, it's all 5.
Yeah. But I'm going to link those 5 in the description. So if people want to know what Sarah thinks at the time of recording is her 5 favourite pieces of artwork, you can head on over to her Instagram through the links in the podcast and have a look.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of which 5 of those were. I was really I think I know. I know what they were. They're very
And
those 5 were pretty special to me. And I think a lot of them were just kind of benchmarks for me in terms of, confidence and improvement with what I was doing. Those 5 stand out.
yeah, I think so. I think they're lovely pieces that you've chosen. So looking
Oh,
forward to sharing them
thank
with everyone else so they know which your 5 are. But you talked a little bit about every now and again you go on Instagram Live and do a Q&A. And you featured on someone else's Insta TV this
Oh
week.
God.
Whose was that, Sarah?
Oh dear. I'm getting flustered just remembering it. All right, so there's a person we may or may not know in this community. I think his name is Brian May, something like that. And
Oh, right, Brian May. I've not heard of him.
yeah, I think you might have heard of
sounds like
him.
a nice chap. Yeah.
On the 6th of August, he went live on Instagram for, it was about 7 hours. He was live. It was all day, but it totaled about 7 hours. He was taking one-to-one calls, and me being such a silly goose, I was like, nah, I'll submit a request. I'm not gonna get picked. There's hundreds of people getting picked. And then all of a sudden, in under 10 seconds, I cannot stress this enough. I think it was like 5 seconds. I get a notification on my phone. Brian May for real has requested you to join him live, something like that. And I was like, oh my God, my heart stopped. And my hands would not stop shaking. And I went live with Brian on Instagram for about 2.5 minutes, and it was terrifying.
You could. I mean, I was watching. I didn't watch the whole thing all day, but I think
Yeah,
I
no,
tuned
it's
in
7
just
hours.
around
You
the
have to
time.
be insane.
I've watched the highlights and the bits I wanted, but your camera was very shaky. I would add for a while anyway.
I didn't have anywhere to stabilize it. I was, oh God. Yeah, you could see my nerves in real time. Just like I couldn't steady my own camera. I was so terrified. Oh my God. But that
No,
was that was fun. I look back and I wish I could have just taken a deep breath, but my defense is Instagram did not give me a lot of time to compose myself. Okay.
Yeah.
1 second I
Did,
was
did,
just watching and the next I was on. That was terrifying.
so is that the first time you've ever spoken to Brian?
Uh Face to face like that. Yeah. That's why he was like,
Yeah.
there you are face to face. There you are for real. I was like, yeah. Um you'd think I'd be less nervous given I have talked to him before. We've
Yeah.
had quite a bit of communications back and forth. So you'd think I'd be a bit more chill, but it kind of hits different when you're, looking at him face to face and oh hi.
Were you aware that there'd be, I mean, if it was me, I'd have been like, oh my, I'm talking to Brian May, and oh my, it's being recorded and put on his TV for everyone else to see.
Yeah, it
Did
didn't
that
help
come into
that,
your mind, or was it?
yeah, there are thousands of people watching this interaction in that moment. Didn't help matters. And I was hyper aware of how shaky I was. So that also didn't help. It just kind of compounded.
I think it wasn't just him either, was it? It was Ariel
Yeah,
and
Ariel and Talia.
Talia.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Was what a lovely thing he chose to speak to you, and he gave us an insight into something, which you're going to talk about a bit more now, and that's that you had been sending him some artwork, and he decided to. You tell the story. You'll know far better than I will.
Well, on his Instagram live, Brian decided to pre-divulge his words. We've been working on a little project together for the past small eternity, it feels like, but for the past, I'll say half a year properly. We are putting out a book together. It's a little art book of my artwork, obviously. I had sent him back in November a collection of my art. And if you look back at my Instagram feed, what I was doing in November, that's where it was at then. You can only imagine where it's at now. But
Yeah.
he loved that book so, so much. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't stop bringing it up. He would keep emailing me. He's just like, Sarah, this book, it's so lovely. Like, we need to do something with this. Like, you should publish it. Maybe I can help. And I'm like, Brian, I can't. Like, thank you, but oh my God. And it's like, no, really, like, we should do something with this. And who am I to say no? Right? Like, no,
Definitely.
Brian May. I will not do this. Like, hello. Yeah, so it was all his idea. The only thing I did was I just sent him a little gift of my art because I, wanted to send him something, and here we are.
So I'm mind blown.
Yeah, I still can't wrap my head around it.
So are you still working on on it at the moment, or is it finalized?
It is all
Have you got-
done. As of right now, as it stands, we've just sent off the more, what would I call it? The more widely distributed versions are
Yeah.
to the printers, so it's almost finished in production, but hopefully it should be out by the end of the month. I'm not sure exactly what date yet, but sometime in August it should be out. Maybe by the time
So
you're
is that-
listening, it's out. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, that would be handy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be out soon. There'll be two versions. There's gonna be a really nice, fancy, like premium edition, exactly like the one that I sent him.
Yep.
And it'll be signed by myself and by Brian. Highly exclusive.
Lovely.
The price is set by Brian, so don't get mad at me when you all see it. And then there'll be a more, widely available hardback version. And all of the profits are split 50-50 between myself and the Save Me Trust. So
Oh,
profits go
fantastic.
to donations to the Save Me Trust as well, which is great.
And where is that going to be? Just how will we be able to know about it, Sarah? And where will we be able to buy it and all of that good stuff? I'm sure Brian will share it.
Yeah, yeah. There will be an actual announcement proper, hopefully sometime soon. But from what I know, it will be on Queen Online, so QOL for sure. And I'm pretty sure it will also be available on LSC, the London Stereoscopic Company website too, because we have some of my stereo drawings in there.
Oh,
And so
amazing.
the LSC is the actual publisher of the book, which is
Uh-huh.
insanely cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, so those two for sure, and I'm not sure of anywhere else. Maybe Amazon. I can't say for sure, but
Okay,
QOL for sure, for sure.
definitely need to check that out. And if you can prod me just before you know it's coming, so I can make
Yeah,
sure
for
I get
sure. I'll let
mine,
you know
then please.
exactly the date. Yeah.
Yeah, no, how awesome is that though? Not only have you devoted your last few years of fantastic artwork to the man, he's then said thank you and made you make a book with him.
It's yeah, I this is where I have a hard time just, being kind of proud of my accomplishments and just be like, yeah, I did that, but I really did do that. Like that this really is
Yeah,
happening. Like he really did. Of all of the artists in this community, of whom I love and of whom he loves, he didn't have to do this. He didn't have to, you know, pull me or do anything. He could have just been, oh, this is a lovely book, sir. Thank you very much. Like that could have just ended there and I would have been happy. But yeah, all of this is so surreal and it really is like a dream come true. And once I have it, in my hands, I think maybe then it'll hit me because it still feels like a dream. It's
yeah,
like who I think in any medium you're working in to work with someone like Brian on anything is just like, oh my God. Like I wish I could just, you know, make something with him. And so for me to have this opportunity, it's not lost on me. And my God, eh, yeah, I'm speechless. I don't have any words. I'm so grateful to him, and I can't wait for everyone to see it. I really hope that people like it. It's to kind of released in tandem with his Back to the Light re-release. It's sort of a postscript to celebrate it,
yeah.
and it's kind of the best of my artwork at the time. Sort of from the beginning of my Bright art journey up until about May or June, I think is when it cuts off. And so, it's best of my art, volume one.
I was gonna say, sounds like you're pitching volume two at the moment,
Maybe.
or
I
working
don't
on.
know. We'll see. We'll see. God, my God. I have no idea. I'm not going to hold my breath. I didn't even know this would be a thing. So,
I'd definitely say you can, when the book arrives and you've got it in your hand and it says it's your book and
yeah.
made with Brian May and published by the London Stereoscopic Company,
Yeah.
you should definitely have a little swagger in your walk that day
Oh my
and
God. Yeah.
remind yourself what you've achieved through hard work, dedication, believing in yourself, and doing your thing. Because wow, what a
Oh
story!
yeah. No, it's very surreal. Definitely, definitely a highlight. My career as an artist. At probably the peak. Yeah.
For the moment, I
For the
would
moment,
say.
yeah. No, this is as good as it's been.
Because you started playing guitar a year ago. Who knows where that'll be in a
Oh
couple of years' time?
Jesus.
Up on stage with Brian in America playing along. No, awesome, Sarah. That's wow. Can't wait to see it. And yeah, I, I, I don't know what to say now. But
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to tell you was you have a role to play in the podcast, and I just wanted to say thank you to you for that, because when I first put this together, one of the people listening said, "Can you put it on YouTube so that they can listen?" Because they didn't have Spotify or Apple Music. So okay, that makes sense. So I think it was the second episode I put up on YouTube, and I got a little notification in my YouTube app to say someone had commented, and I went and had a look, and it was you, and I was like, oh my God, someone I like and respect and think is a fantastic artist has listened to some of my ramblings and had taken time out of their day to not only listen but to comment. Blimey, this is worth doing. I should
Oh
continue with this so thank you.
no, oh my God. Well, thank you for putting it up because on the other side of the screen, I saw. I think it was in my like YouTube recommendations or something, but I saw it ping up and I was like, oh my God, a podcast like Red Special podcast. Like, what the heck? This is so niche. This is so me. This is exactly what I needed. Like, so on the other side of the screen, I was freaking out and I like had turned around to my husband. I was like, oh my God, there's a podcast that just it literally just they talk about the guitar and they talk about Brian. Oh my God, this is perfect. And so I genuinely was like so excited to see something like this come up. And so to be on it now, I'm like, oh my God.
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you for posting that up, because it gave me that. I was in two minds, like, is this going to work? Is it not? Is it worth doing? And it
Oh my God.
just
Well, I'm
really,
so happy you did, because, well, now look, I mean, heck, talking to Ariel and Andy and Simon Bradley and all of the members of the
yeah,
community, and oh my God, I'm really glad you stuck with
yeah.
it.
It's not been too bad a journey, and I got to speak to you, so it's
Oh
another
gosh.
person on my list of people to speak to or interact with, that I respect and like. So yeah, it's
Oh,
good.
thank you.
So, is there anything else that you can or cannot tell us going on after this book coming out, or is that all you are at liberty to talk about at the moment?
Oh my God. Well, really, it's gosh, there's been so much energy in that book. That's it for me for now. It's just back to my usual, just making art, posting it up, sharing artists. I got, I got one thing. But no, that's really all I'm doing. I can't think of much else, honestly, and also just counting down the days until the Rhapsody tour starts up again next year, and hopefully I
Yeah,
can be at those shows. I'm looking forward to that.
definitely. And I think I'm gonna say, obviously, you'd be welcome to come and join us at the UK Red Special meetup in
Oh, I
October.
hope I
But
can be there one. Yeah, I would love to come to one of the meetups. I might not have much to contribute, but I'll just be standing there with a big smile on my face, listening to everyone.
you
Just
would. I mean, everyone is welcome, and it doesn't matter whether you bring nothing but a smile or all the gear in the world. Everyone is welcome, and
yeah,
there
no,
is one in
hopefully.
the US as well. There was one in Phoenix, Arizona, just before the COVID pandemic,
Hmm.
which isn't as well. I don't know where you are as to
Well,
whether
I'm
how far it
hiding
is.
up in Canada up here, so
Yeah,
yeah,
not
it's a
yeah.
bit more
So that,
accessible in the States than overseas, but I'll travel anywhere for anything super cool like that. Oh yeah, hopefully I can come to one of the meetups.
definitely, you definitely need to, because I think it'd be great to have you along and see some of your work and actually get to say hello. And
Yeah, yeah, no, it'd be cool to meet everyone.
so, Sarah, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me tonight, about your story. It's been fantastic chatting to you, and I wish you all the best for the book coming out and can't wait to see it. Please do let me know before it comes out so I can make sure I'm there ready to hit
For
purchase.
sure.
And yeah, thanks so much for sharing your story with us. It's been great.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful.
You stay safe, and
Yeah,
I
you
will
as
speak to you
well.
soon. Cheers, Sarah.
Cheers.
And that was Sarah Rugg. Thank you so much to you for everything that you do on Instagram for Brian and other artists, Sarah. And thanks so much for spending some time chatting to me on the podcast. I had so much fun, and I've been smiling while sat here editing it as well. Brian's actually released the book this week, so he pipped us to the post on the podcast coming out, and then us being able to talk about the book before it coming out. So well done, Brian, and well done to you. I think the limited edition version sold out within minutes, and it looks like sales are going really well. I've got my copy on order, so I can't wait to get the book and have a look through, and then send you some messages about that. But thanks again so much for being on the podcast. And I also want to say thanks again to the patrons. You guys rock. You were mentioned in the podcast by me to Sarah, and I really couldn't do it without you. Thanks so much for your continued support of the podcast and helping out. If anyone's interested in what being a patron of the podcast means, then please head over to our website, redspecialguitarpodcast.com. No wwws at the front, just redspecialguitarpodcast.com. Have a look at Support Us. It takes you straight to our Patreon page, and you can see how you can help me out or help us out with making sure that the podcast lives on and grows and gets more guests and more information. And that's pretty much it for me this week. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. It's great fun putting this together. I love the fact you guys listen to it and get in touch and tell me how much you enjoy it. Yeah, we've got the Red Special meetup coming up in October. Please check on the website again for details. There's a link there. You can go and pre-purchase the ticket to attend. It's the only way you can attend this year is with a pre-bought ticket. And yeah, keep safe, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next one.